Greetings, City of Denver. We are anonymous. It has come to our attention that you continue to deny the homeless of your city their basic human rights, as well as rights guaranteed by Amendment 8 of the United States Constitution. These are humans we are talking about. This is a problem that needs a solution. City of Denver, it is time to put our efforts into identifying and financing a solution rather than financing a way to push them away. We are humanity and we need to treat everyone as humans beings. City of Denver, we have tried to work with you. Your confiscation and destruction of the belongings and survival gear of the homeless is inhumane and criminal. Your failure to work in good faith with local activists will bring the formidable power of Anonymous to bear on your city. A very public spotlight is about to be shined on you, Mayor Hancock, and your sycophant, Councilman Brooks. The entire world will see what heartless people you are. Every member of the Downtown Partnership who supported the camping ban will also be doxxed and their information posted for the world to see. We would prefer you worked with local activists on a solution. Consider yourself warned.
A notorious hacker group is targeting Denver over its homeless camp cleanup.
If you've been in downtown Denver recently, you can't help but notice one of the many homeless camps lining the sidewalks.
Now Mayor Hancock wants to turn more hotels and motels into housing for people in need.
The pandemic made Denver's homelessness problem worse.
A soaring number of homeless people this year.
Denver is dealing with a problem that's not getting better, and that is homelessness.
The number of people living curbside in tents seems to be growing daily in Denver.
Just how many people depends on who you ask. If you ask the city, it's about 5,000. If you ask homeless advocates, it's at least 4 times that, around 20,000 people.
Either way, it's an alarming trend.
It's dangerous out here, just flat out dangerous.
For Beth Hutchinson, the growing tent cities in 5 Points are more than just an eyesore.
Stabbings, shootings, people getting beaten up. There were shots fired the other night.
To the point she doesn't want to leave her apartment.
Homeowners like Brendan McCormick are fed up. Compassion has worn thin. Property owners have reached a boiling point.
We're going to see kind of vigilante justice possibly, and that's not where anybody wants the city to be.
2 weeks ago, you'll remember the city swept the streets of homeless camps and the belongings of homeless people in Denver. The city says the camps were becoming a public health concern.
What happens is the city will clear one camp, then the homeless will just move to a new area.
Mayor Hancock was adamant that increased sweeps to homeless camps are not trying to clean up the city's image ahead of the All-Star game in less than 2 weeks.
It is not. Let me be very clear, it's not connected to the All-Star game.
Lately, it seems as though anyone familiar with Colorado's capital city of Denver has an opinion on the growing number of homeless living within its jurisdiction. The number of people living on the streets continues to grow, and the COVID-19 pandemic certainly hasn't helped. The topic is an inflammatory one, polarizing business and homeowners, politicians, activists, and so on. A demographic we seldom hear from in regards to the issue of homelessness are the homeless themselves. I went to the streets to hear their stories in hopes of getting a different perspective on a topic that continues to divide Denver.
My name is John Russo. I've been homeless for about 4 or 5 years out here in Denver. I'm originally from New York. Gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, trying to get myself back on my feet, trying to get my ID, which is one of the hard things to do while you're homeless out here.
My mom died 19 years ago, and I've been homeless ever since. My best friend died. My mom died. She ran out of oxygen at the bus stop in Pueblo.
I lost my husband. I was going through something myself. But I feel like helping other people is thinking about myself is better. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm out here because I was in Newland. I lost my apartment and Aurora, and that's why. My pastor had me up in a hotel for 3 months, and my neighbor got COVID, and their room overflooded onto mine, and all my stuff became a biohazard. At that point, I had nothing because they sold my credit card, my ID, everything. So I was stuck out here.
I'm out here basically because my job situation at the moment. I was working in driveway seal coating and construction, and I was laid off partially due to, you know, my substance abuse issues.
I've been out here since 2011, and I haven't really had a home since I've been here, and that blows me away. I didn't never believe that I'd be this long without a home, and it really started in 2007. You know, I lost a whole lot. I lost a whole family's connection, and when you get separated from somebody, whether you're married to them, if it's the same as marriage or not, when you got that whole family, it affects your life, involved in your life. You lose that kind of thing. It's a big thing. I had a boat, a nice truck, and a car, and a lot of equipment to be in business. And I lost everything.
I lost it all.
I'm homeless because I'm a little upset with life in general. My wife passed away; she died of cancer. My son, I can't see him for another couple of years, so it's just a struggle and just constantly trying to get my being and get back on my feet and get everything going. And it's just been a little struggle for me. So that's basically what's been keeping me homeless. But I'm getting back on my feet. I'll get this.
A lot of these people are military veterans. A lot of these people, once upon a time, worked in a career. That no longer works a career due to reasons X and reason being. So you have to look at that from an aspect that none of these people are dumb, crazy, or ignorant. They're just allowing themselves to be sunken into a mold that we all allow ourselves to get sunken into when we hang around the wrong people.
Yeah.
And affiliating ourselves with the wrong kind and the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
This is what it generates and bring about.
I've been out here 19 years. I sleep wherever I can. My suitcase is right there. People steal my stuff all the time. My sleeping bags and everything. But when it starts raining or snowing, I find the nearest shelter I can find.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so. The other night I slipped down there. Rocks down. I woke up soaking wet, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sad.
Tell them about what happened last night?
Yeah.
Last night, 3 nights ago, I lost count of time. I was protecting a buddy of mine, and 5 people wound up stomping me on the ground to the point of where they stomped on my head and my eyeball came out of my forehead. Now I'm missing the one right eye, and I still survive. I'm still trying to plug in for my friends and still trying to make a big group to get things going, to get us off the streets and try to do the best we can. It's a struggle, but we'll make it. We're still like everyone else, but we have little problems here and there. You know, we dabble with our things, and we're getting there.
What do you eat?
Wherever I can get my hands on. I hardly ever eat. So I'm an alcoholic.
I had to eat out of the trash. I had to build my tent out of trash and get my clothes out of the trash. I live my life right now just like Jesus. And God will back to me everything.
I'm addicted to heroin.
How long?
It's been like 15 years on and off.
What's the hardest thing about heroin?
The withdrawal symptoms. Like, after you do a shot or smoke some heroin, you have like an 8 to 10 hour window of like, you know, feeling normal or feeling right. And then when that window ends, your body starts to shut down slowly, and your brain does anything it can to get that drug in its system again.
Simply drugs. Because if it was anything other than drugs, they wouldn't be here. So simply, the answer is drugs.
Substance abuse is something that's really hard to put your finger on. Drugs can pretty much take anyone of any class, any race. Drugs, you know, does not discriminate at all. And I was someone that no one that would, you know, be addicted. I grew up in a good household. I went to U of M, Michigan. And I just had a couple of friends that I followed a little bit, and after a few times, you know, I was hooked, and I didn't realize how bad it was till a year after the first one.
I get drunk and I go to detox. And they go, Rich, are you a veteran? I go, no, I'm a soldier of the street. They say, how you been doing it for 19 years, Rich? I said, because I'm a soldier of the street. I know how to survive.
Yeah.
And there's not too many people that can do the world survive the way I do.
Yeah. This is what money will constantly do for them, is keep them held here. And that's why I said people have to stop giving that money and understanding, hey, you need bathing, you need hygiene, you need clean clothing, you need a pastor, somebody with positive mind and heart to be around. Because being around this here does nothing for any of you. Nothing. But see everybody looking at each other in a mean way and contemplating on the next move to figure out what it's going to take to get what keep the party started and what ends the party. And you see what's here.
Once you're kind of in the cycle of being homeless and begging on the streets, it's easy to get stuck. Being that you don't have an address or a phone, it's rather hard to get back into the job market.
If it starts too early in your life, you never have a true sense of what a home is. There's people living where I live. That is their home. If you ask them any question, they've been there longer than I have, some of them. That's their home. It's not a home. You know? And these kids are growing up there.
Yeah.
It sads the hell out of you, me, and everybody else.
The hardest thing about being on the streets is finding like a situation of getting out. Like I said, like, you know, not having like a phone or an address for like jobs or opportunities to contact you. It's like the feeling of like being stuck. And, you know, I've been to times when I've been employed and had my own house and a car where I've had no money, and it didn't bother me because I didn't feel stuck. In this situation, the feeling of being stuck is the worst.
What's the hardest part about being out here?
Being alone. Since I'm a Christian, I'm walking.
Yeah.
No matter that, I just see myself.
Yeah.
Just, you know, he's gone. Everything that's supposed to be good is bad. Everything is bad.
What are some of the most difficult parts of being out here, you think?
Not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. That's the difficult part. You don't know what's going to happen. From any moment. You don't know who's who or what. You don't know who to trust. That's what's the difficult part.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what's the hardest part about being out here?
Fear of it not working. And all this time, all these years, and I discovered holding a sign. It was probably about 5 years ago or something, and I knew it existed, but I've never really started doing it. And you know, I've been doing this for 2 years, and the fear is that it won't work, that I won't find a home, and that when I spend all this money on living in a not so great motel. A lot of things could be better there.
I fell asleep down over there last week when it was raining. When I woke up, Ryan, I was soaking freaking wet. Soaking wet. Here's where I'm walking around like Frosty the Snowman. Water dripping all over me. Yeah, I was soaking wet, right?
But the second biggest fear, other than it not working, is, well, it happened the other day. I didn't get hit in the head, but somebody came up and jumped me, you know, and tried to take all my money. You know, and you're out here from daylight to dawn sometimes. So on a good day, you know, you got something. But when somebody jumps up and tries to take what you're doing away from you, I mean, I'm out here as long as it's going to take. Not a lot of people understand that. They do it until they get their cigarette, their beer, work hard nowadays. I cannot get a home that way. I'm out here to make a job, you know, and it is a job.
A lot of these people are, you know, addicted to like either fentanyl, heroin, or meth. And being that they're short of the drug, they get edgy pretty fast. And I've seen fights start over, you know, one person picking up a pair of socks that belong to someone else, and moments later, 2 of the teeth being spit out. And about 3 to 5 of these fights happen every single day. And there's no vacation on the fights either. They're every day.
The weather, stealing. I got money to leave the other day. And they stole up to $4,000.
I've had guns sitting in people's laps that didn't like the way I looked or something, and they threatened me with them. You know, tell me to move away from the car, they got a gun in their lap. They're looking at me and the gun. But, you know, that day I take off early. You know, when that happens.
What's it like being a woman out here?
It's kind of frustrating.
What's that?
It's dirty, it's nasty, you don't know who to trust, a man, you don't get raped and stuff by men. So yeah, that's what happens when you're out here. But
is there sexual abuse that's common?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
For me, myself, I've experienced it, yes. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I put myself in this.
What's it like to be a woman out here?
A woman alone?
Yeah.
It's very frightening because I have no street skills. I'm the next to all this world to see. And I'm not from here. I know nothing. Yeah. It's only God. It's with God's grace.
Yeah.
That I'm alone. And it's really scary because I don't have street skills.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
I know how to fight, and I know how to do all the karate moves. And my dad could beat. My dad was so powerful. He could break bricks just like that.
Really?
I'm telling you the truth, yes.
Yeah.
Suffering.
Yeah.
But Jesus would do it.
When you're dealing with the homeless environment, you're limited in so much you can do with them and want to do with them. Due to reasons of skin diseases and sores, open sores, and not have bathed and different things of that nature. So that's what's going to keep you mostly away from them.
I've never spent $1,500 a month on rent or on a motel in my life. And I just am blown away by how much things cost.
This is how I make my money, Ryan. This corner right here where my suitcase is at, and the sign is the one that makes me the money. I stand there for 10, 20 minutes, Ryan.
Basically, you're hustling like all day, like, you know, holding like flying signs on the street. That's when you're holding a sign that says, you know, my name is so and so, I'm homeless, or, you know, opening the doors at gas stations for people, asking if they can spare some change.
Yeah.
You have to pretty much work 10 o'clock a.m. till, like, you know, 9 o'clock at night, just doing, like, you know, pity stuff. And you don't really have anyone telling you what to do. That's the advantage, but the disadvantage is the little you have to work with to survive on. But it's tough. It begins to be pretty tough after a while.
I think the main thing they need help with, besides housing and employment, will be medication reasons. Whether it's being through mental health, whether it's, you know, some sort of a treatment, or need to be in hospital for X amount of days, weeks, whatever the case may be, until they're healed. So that's what I think is needed most, is medical reasons, besides housing and employment, and somebody that can come out here and motivate them to want to make the changes that they do. So it's not all about food, clothing, and housing. A lot of it is simply about showing love. But a lot of these people has been abused either by a relative or someone. to them. They're not accustomed to being around someone like you or I, who know how to appreciate, know how to love, and understand, hey, you know, just because of who they are, what they're doing, doesn't mean I got to look upon myself as being better than them. Because once again, we're still people.
Yeah.
They just have a problem that you don't have.
Yeah.
While it may sometimes seem as though there is no fixing the worsening homeless crisis in Denver, there are ways in which it is being mitigated. One of these ways is the establishment of safe outdoor spaces. These sites shelter the unsheltered for 6 months at a time, offering residents refuge from the elements, cots, food, electricity, Wi-Fi, and wellness checks. These sites are staffed 24 hours a day and help provide residents a path to permanent housing. One of the more recent sites was set up in an affluent neighborhood in Denver, in the parking lot of Park Hill United Methodist Church.
The space opened June 23rd, I believe, a Wednesday afternoon. The permit allows the space to be open to the end of the year, the end of 2021. And we're happy to have folks here, having folks have a safe place to lay their head at night, leave their belongings, get the services that they need, know that there's a church and synagogue in the neighborhood and a community that hasn't forgotten about them and cares about them.
Basically what they're doing is providing a safe space for the homeless.
Yeah.
A lot of times they get in positions where sometimes they have problems with each other, and they want to get on their feet, but they want to, you want to rest at night, so they want to rest at night as well.
Yeah.
So they have a place where they can come and rest and not worry about fighting, shooting, someone coming and stealing, different things like that.
Yeah.
I think the most fair response to how the community responded would be mixed. From day one, we've had folks that have been super supportive, folks that have been indifferent, and folks that have been unsupportive. And that still remains the case. And so at this point, kind of 4 months now into this since we announced, most folks, the vast majority of folks that I come in contact with or that reach out to us from the community, the immediate neighborhood, the church, the synagogue, and beyond are very supportive. There's still, I imagine, folks that are not supportive of it for whatever reason it might be, and probably will never be supportive of it. But that's probably the case with most programs, for better or worse. But yeah, so mixed, but improving each day. I think the longer that it's here.
I believe that a lot of times people are just associated with two things, drugs and alcohol. You have sex trafficking, you have people who've been held hostage, you have people who just lost a job, who got sick, people who've had car accidents and they get stuck. And they just need an opportunity to start somewhere, and we can provide that here.
It's definitely a challenge, right? How do we help care for these Denverites? How do we include them as our neighbors and our residents? And what's the care that they need? What are the steps that they need to become more permanently housed? Whether that's mental health or physical health or a stable job or a safe place to put their stuff so that they don't have to worry about those.
Some of the services that they have the showers that come through. Not necessarily everybody can get a shower every day, so there's a truck that comes here and provides showers and laundry. If you don't have money, you can't wash your clothes. So that's a service that's provided. They have housing that's provided that comes in and teaches them where to start. A lot of times what people don't understand is you may want help, but where do I begin?
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, I just need a place to live. But then if you backtrack, you got to have ID. So if someone steals your ID, that means I have to wait, 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah.
A job. You may hear within a week or two with background. An apartment, what does it take? About a week or so? So that's like almost a month of waiting. And people don't understand it's not like you just go out there and everything happens. If you start from nothing, it's a process.
Got folks, parents that will say, I walk my children by the side all the time, and if I didn't know what it was because of the publicity or the sign on the fence, I wouldn't know what it was. It's so quiet, it's so clean, it blends into the community, and so that's been the most feedback that we hear the most often, that I hear the most often.
The average rent here is $1,200, basic rent. If you miss, just the person who's working misses 2 paychecks, you got rent, lights, food. If you have kids, daycare, it's that easy. It's not like it's a long-winded wait-out thing. It's very easy to go into poverty. People don't even understand. But minimum wage, you know, so you have to look at stuff like that.
That for me has been, like kind of the game changer is things that those of us that have permanent housing or more permanent housing, we take for granted. My pillow that I left this morning is going to be where I left it when I get back, unless my wife happens to move it, and then she'll know where it is, right? When I go home today, I'm going to have a cool place to sit down and to catch my breath and to regroup and to get ready for the next day. I don't have any doubts about that. I don't have any fears about someone coming in and telling me I have to move along and trying to figure out where that's going to be, and then I'm supposed to let my head down.
There's a stigma. People say, oh, well, they don't bathe. And I've seen people who like bathe if they have to get a bucket, if they have to go into a public restroom and wash off. So they don't lose who they are. They're still human. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that people don't understand, is they haven't changed who they are. Their situation and their environment just changed around them.
Yeah. I think there's the misconception that I've heard the most, I think, is that somehow those experiencing homelessness are more dangerous or a safety risk to people that are housed. That somehow, simply because someone doesn't have a permanent address or a place to call home, that somehow they're more dangerous, they're at a greater risk to be around or have near you. And unfortunately, it's been really disheartening. That somehow housing equals safe, unhoused equals unsafe. Are there challenges that folks are experiencing that are unhoused? Absolutely. But people that are housed are also dealing with some of those very same challenges, and they're doing it behind the door, not maybe aware of it. And it's been unfortunate. The data doesn't back that up.
A lot of the churches have come out, not just a particular religion or organization, whether it's Catholic, Methodist, whichever. Yeah. People have come out with their heart and is willing to assist however they can. And what people misunderstand is it don't have to be big. It could be a family just serving a dinner. And overall, they're appreciative. Yeah. There's really no complaints. Shoes, clothing, whatever. They appreciate that. So whatever you can do with what you have.
As a Christian and as a pastor, I don't know how else to live out my faith or how to lead our congregation except for putting our beliefs into practice. And for us as a congregation, it was, if we don't do this, who else is going to do this? So at the time, we were over the third site to say that yes, we would be willing and are willing to do this. There's since been a fourth site at Regis University, and that site actually opened up before our site because some of the pushback that we had and some of the things we had to address. But for us, it was, if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right? Jesus, I think it's the Gospel of John, but I might be wrong, but in one of the Gospels, right, it says to Peter 3 times, feed my sheep, feed my sheep, feed my sheep, right? Go and take care of my people. I think that's a clear message of, hey, if you say you're a follower of Jesus, you say you're a Christian, you say you love God, which is one of the basic tenets of our understanding of our faith, is we call to love God and love others. And Jesus clearly said that you gotta go and take care of people as you're able to. We can't do it all by any means. We gotta do what we're able to do. And as a pastor, I'm constantly preaching my congregation, live out your faith, put your faith in action, love your neighbor. I can't imagine, we got to reach preaching to them, go out and live your faith, and then they come to me and like, hey pastor, we have this idea, and being like, no, we can't do that. Like, oh my gosh, that would be hypocritical at one level, it would feel at least that way. And there might be legitimate reasons for different projects, obviously, that I'd say, like, that's a great idea, but we can't do that because X, Y, and Z, or we should consider something differently. But with this one, it was, the sites are clean, they're well run, they're organized, they're helping people moving on to more permanent housing. The issues that people sometimes have around safety have not been issues at previous sites. There's a clean track record for the previous safe outdoor spaces. Might something happen? Sure, right? Life is life, and we hope that it doesn't, but life is life, and people are people. But everything so far, with the 2 sites and with our site so far, has said there here and people being properly served.
One thing people misunderstand is that you can either, the environment changes you or you can change your environment. A lot of the people that are going through their thing, they haven't lost their morals, their values out of, you may see like trash and different things at other places, but deep down they're still human and they still have those things. But when you have no place to be organized or nothing to work with, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Basically, you have communities or you have businesses where the homeless kind of let things go, whether it's trash or just stuff piled up, and they just get pushed from one spot to another spot to another spot and to another spot. And if all you have is a grocery cart full of everything you own, even though it may not look like anything to somebody, but that's theirs. That's all they have.
Yeah.
So they push it out of the way to, for the businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about human beings, right? Theologically speaking, we believe as Christians that every single person is created in the image of God. And at Methodist, we believe that every single person is not only created in the image of God, but has God's grace present, working, and moving in their lives. Every single person, period. That could be a challenging piece of theology when we see folks living or doing things that we disagree with or that harm other people or might even harm us, but yet God knows that person is present in that person's life. That's regardless of their status.
It's not how big you do things.
Yeah.
Even Jesus said that he would leave the 99 and go after one. So even if out of 30 people, if one person gets on their feet, we celebrate that.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to start. I needed to start. When I went to college, it was like I didn't know what I was doing, but someone took out the time to show me. So the same thing with them. They don't know where to start. So if whatever you can do for somebody, small, it can make a big change.
Sure.
Even if the only thing you can do is pray for somebody, if the only thing that you can do is give them a meal, that's starting. That's giving somebody hope.
And I can't see an end to the homeless problem either. I just see that there should be one. I want there to be one, but I don't see one.
Why not?
How would you end homelessness?
I don't have the answer for how to solve, I mean, that's the right way to talk about that, the issue of homelessness, but I know that the Safe Outdoor Space is one small part of how we can do that here in the city, the county of Denver, and frankly in other places as well. And so for me as a pastor, for us as our church, this is one way that we can help. Right? There are 30 folks that have a safe place, that are getting the services, and hopefully many of them will eventually move on to more permanent housing. I hope more folks will come and meet folks that are here at our site or other sites that might be around the city, and just continue to remember that. People are people, man. People are people.
Denver is probably, I'm from New York. New York is very good homeless. Denver is one of the best places that take care of the homeless. The people in general are some of the nicest people that will actually go out of the way to give you $5, $10. Go in, get you something to eat, do what you gotta do. Very, very humble, and I'm very flattered and humbled by the generosity of the Denver people.
The people of Denver are very friendly and, open-hearted, so I think I'd rather be on the streets here than anywhere else in the U.S.
Do you think the public has a misconception about what it's like to live on the streets or those who are homeless?
They can't know. And I thank God for that. It makes me cry. But I'm thankful that they can't know. Well, they'll know that's the greatest thing on earth.
What does your future look like? Do you have an idea of where you go from here?
It's pretty much where I go from here, and how much I lay off the substances and being able to ask proper help from the right societies such as Salvation Army.
My future, I hope it's going to be good. I'll continue to do good.
Yeah.
And make money and everything. I want for everybody to know that there's a God. And I love him so much. He does too.
And Jesus is out here with me. I don't see him right now. And he's in the park. He's my brother.
I just pray to God, while talking to you and having this interview, that He answer my prayers and remove all of this out of here into a home, apartment, whatever it may be, back with relatives, whatever it may be, with this ready, because it's killing this country, and it's killing all countries. We see this every single day.
We all should have our own world of belonging to. And I've lost so much of that. I don't think my world really liked me a whole lot, but it was all the world I had.
Yeah.
And it started changing, and I had to make some changes. And I don't know what the hell I did wrong or what I did right, but I didn't think it was going to be quite like this.
Volunteer time. Have a heart. Know that, hey, some of these might be your relatives. This could possibly very well have been you at once upon a time. So never knock what you see out here. Be willingly and freely in your heart and mind to come out here and help motivate this, feed these, medicate these. A word of confidence. And help them to understand you are somebody. Why are you treating yourself like you're nobody? So that would be my advice to them, and hope that they would want to do is come out of here and be a volunteer and motivate.
Yeah.
Whatever is needed.
Yeah.
Whatever is needed.
Well, they could help us. Everybody needs to get along, get together, and help each other. I mean, that's all it takes for people to help each other, lift each other up instead of picking each other down. That's what a lot of people here do.
Yeah.
Like I tell them, y'all can do whatever y'all want. I'm my own self. I go in the mirror and talk shit to myself. You know, I go tell myself, oh, you're ugly, you know, you better get up. You know, I'm my own self now.
Yeah.
But these, you know, I see people that just like, they lose their hope in life.
Keep what you got, share what you can, and if you find something that's working for you, if it's affordable, and you're like me, please give me the information so that I can do it too.
Sandler, do the best you can. See someone struggling, help them out with $1. Grab them something to drink, grab them something to eat. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know that just because they don't have a job right now, that they're not on top of their game. Something might be coming up that they can't get work, they can't get their game. Just give them a chance, because you never know. They might be the people helping you next time.
We are normal people like you are, or at least a lot of us once were. Just maybe give some of us a chance, you know, we're not all bad.